Hey guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Top Producing Zone podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Michael Jin.
And I'm Shane Carvalho.
We got another fun catch up episode for you guys this week because, Shane, we have been busy. We just came back from our annual brokerage conference, eXpCon, in Las Vegas. It was the last year in Las Vegas, and it was just an absolutely amazing time.
I didn't even gamble $1, which
Yeah,
is
which is kind
crazy
of
to be in
weird. I was
Vegas.
because you usually like I see you at least one night hit the tables, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
like I even want. I suck at gambling. I say lucky in love, shitty in gambling, and even I wanted to gamble this time, and we never had a chance to gamble.
no, it's funny because some people get away from home, get a break from the kids or their partner or whatever, and they go nuts in Vegas. And
Yeah,
then for people like you and I, like I think it's probably the third time I've been in Vegas in 6 months. I mean, we have obviously business partners and different business events we go to. So for me, it's just relocating to another city to work really.
yeah,
But yeah, the conference was, I mean, it was just too many things happening on top of too many things. And
yep.
just, like for instance, like I wear a lot of hats. And so I had a lot of different, things to attend or participate in. And yeah, it was exhausting, but it's always great, like networking, connecting, continuing to build relationships with your existing, team members. And it's nice to see that we're almost, 3,000 strong in our primary group. And obviously, EXP overall is we're about to hit 90,000
Yep.
agents.
Yep.
So, I mean, those are exciting numbers.
No, it absolutely is, and yeah, one of the things I always appreciate about the conference is, to your point, it gives you an opportunity to meet new people, but it's also kind of really cool to see, people that you haven't seen in over a year, that you see all the time on webcam. So it feels like
It feels like you know them because you
it
see
feels
them
like
on Zoom
you
all
know
the
them
time.
all the time, and then there's some people I meet for the first time, and like, oh yeah, shit, I like have never met you in person before. So it was good to catch up with like old friends, people in the wolf pack that have been, around since, over the last 2.5 years. And then also, meeting new agents that have joined our group since then. And also we adopted a couple of agents from Canada that joined, that hung out with us. And so it was really fun.
And you realize that you're a doppelganger to one of the OGs. So we won't name names, but you were mistaken for a very high producing agent in the company multiple times.
I mean, I'll take it. I will take it. I mean, hey, we're Asian. I mean, let's not forget he's Korean and I'm Chinese. Minor difference, but hey.
Yeah,
Well,
minor
it's
difference.
funny. That only happened. Well, it happened twice, but it's okay. Because I
No, it
respect.
happened more than that. They just didn't acknowledge because I stopped them.
Well, no. Well, at least to my face, it happened twice. One time, actually, I actually thought they were thinking I was the other person, and to my surprise, they said no. Like, oh, you're on the podcast, and you and Shane do the podcast, and I was like, oh, that made me feel a little better that people do recognize me.
So this is your claim to fame. I have something to do with it now.
Yeah, I mean, we do the podcast together, so I'll take it. So, I mean, like I guess with every year at the conference, their takeaways, right? And so, what do you feel like impacted you the most this year, and what do you feel like you took away from eXpCon?
I think what really hit me, right before when we were planning with the leaders group is just how much growth in such a short time. Like I feel like it was just last year that was 12 of us at the Build conference,
Mm-hmm.
getting to know each other after being in, under the COVID lockdown for so long. And here we are broken up into subgroups because there's so many of us that we can't even get together for dinner anymore.
Yep.
We had a small leaders dinner, but now it's, everybody's got like their subgroups within the group. I mean, obviously 2,900, not everybody goes, but I mean, for those groups that are, represented, it's just incredible to see kind of like second, third generation happening already.
Yeah.
I think another thing that was really impactful was so many people leaving the business and so many people claiming that it's such difficult times and how energetic our conferences continue to be and how fired up people are. That was another thing that was, refreshing to see because, I swear like here, if I'm in the grocery store, wherever anybody hears you're in real estate, oh my God, things must be so difficult right now. Oh my God, things are so bad right now. Like earlier, somebody was telling me on the phone, yeah, houses aren't selling right now. And I was just like, I just laugh. I'm like so tired of hearing that shit. So yeah, going to the conference is nice to be around other like-minded people,
I absolutely agree, and I think the energy, the enthusiasm, it's really infectious. Like being around like agents who are just striving to go after their business and trying to grow their business, and I think it was absolutely amazing.
And the family bond too. Like, have you noticed that we're like family? I mean, how close everybody is.
Yeah, even though we're like thousands of agents now, like we're still close. Like I literally go up and like I make eye contact, go up and give people a hug, and it's awesome because you don't see these people very often. But
No, they hug more than family. Like, I
yeah,
couldn't believe all the pictures, like all the photo opportunities and stuff. I was like, oh wow.
yeah.
Didn't realize I was so loved. It's like if you were not feeling loved before you went on your trip, you definitely came back feeling loved. So
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it is amazing to your point. Like I was there my first eXpCon. This is my third one. So my first one, I remember I got on stage for like the Wolfpack photo, and it was like I think 20 people, and I could like, hey, there I am, easily. It's easy to spot yourself. Last year, like I mean, we were already like over 1,000 strong at that point, and I was like, I can't even find myself in the group photo. This year, I mean, I probably still can't find myself in the group photo, but I made sure I like positioned myself next to somebody I would recognize. So I put myself right next to Jeremy Kane. And so when we get the photo, I'm like, I find Jeremy first, and I'm like, oh, there I am. I'm right next to him. So I had a little bit of strategy going into this year's photo, but I mean, I think it's just incredible how much our group has grown. But at the same time, it's just the amount of like value and the amount of like knowledge sharing that we do among our group. Like everybody still treats each other like family, and everyone's still willing to help each other out. I think that's incredibly powerful because that's not something that typically scales well as you're in an organization that grows.
right. Well, and the thing, like for me too, with this conference is that we got to network and mastermind with some of the leaders in person, which is great. And EXP really leveled up the welcome reception and the last night's final event. I mean, those were just incredible events, which I really enjoyed. I think that to give proper feedback, a couple of sessions I was at were pretty awesome, but a little disappointed with the actual sessions. And I know that a lot of people go there more to have their meetings and do their podcasts or whatever they're doing. And so, like for us, we were so busy with everything we had going with our groups and everybody. And like for me, like there's icon stuff, and then there's leader stuff, and there's mentor stuff, and there's just so many things that I'm involved in, and I stay pretty busy with that. But I think that if you're coming in to really just sit through every session, um, unfortunately, I think that some of that was lacking. I guess for me anyway. I mean, I'm sure everybody has their perception. And it's not a knock on the company. I love the company. I love the events, and I'll continue to go. I just hope that it's nice that they leveled up the parties, but it'd be great to maybe level up more of the sessions and maybe get more people involved to speak and to lead. You're starting to see a lot of the same people over and over and over, and it's almost like a popularity contest. Like some of these people, they'll speak to other topics they aren't even strong in just because they're like, hey, we're the popular ones. Let's put the popular ones up there. And I think that, I've learned from even within our group, we have a lot of really talented leaders in different fields or different avenues within our group. And I just would love to see more people have the opportunity to grace the stage with things they're passionate and really good at.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think I was sitting in some of the panels, and like there were some you can tell right away. Like people can see it through the BS, right? Like you can tell when we're sitting through an AI panel. You can tell when some of the speakers on the panel knew what they were talking about, and you can immediately tell when people were just making shit up. And unfortunately, there were some people that were just making shit up, and it wasn't very helpful. But I mean, it's kind of twofold. I agree with you. I think I think EXP should open up because we have a lot more agents now, a lot of talent in the company. And I think giving others the opportunity to speak and like share what it is they're doing without the same old faces being on stage.
The other part is you have a really good bullshit meter and you're happy to give them feedback on who should and shouldn't be up there.
I mean, there's definitely that too.
I don't know if that's what you were going on to, but
No, I was actually something a little bit more profound, but
oh, sorry,
I
I'm a little
lost
shallow today.
it. I mean, the one thing I will say is the one thing I feel like has gotten better over the last 3 years. I feel like this year, one thing that did work really well is that they did have a very powerhouse like keynote speaker. I know we kind of missed the first day because we were busy like trying to put out fires with the business. But on the second day, like the keynote speaker was Brendan Burchard, who's a multiple time New York Times best-selling author. He's a super strong, like well-known motivational coach, and just it's funny because he says he's introverted, and I always find this hilarious because as an introvert, but sometimes like when you get on stage, like he's trained himself to just be incredibly articulate and energized, and you can just tell that like he got the room like pumping. And it was really cool to like hear his story, hear his journey. um and like I think that was probably my main takeaway, like especially some of the pointers that he shared during his keynote. And one of the things that stuck out to me was, and we've talked about this in past episodes, but one of the things he said was, never let your vision of the future be limited by your past, and also don't let it be limited by your present.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's incredibly important for, like you were mentioning before, like people today, they take a look at the real estate market, they take a look at what's happened in the past when the market was so hot, and they're like, okay, well, this is why a lot of agents are quitting, because it's not as easy anymore, right? But I mean, you still have your goals, we still have all our goals. Does that mean that we just give up on them? No. I mean, it means we know what drives us, and we figure out a different way to get there because it's just different from what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
The other couple of things that I really liked. Oh, one thing that stuck out to me a lot was he was talking about, we really have to get our mind back. And I think that's super powerful. And he was relating it to this day and age where, social media kind of dominates everything. And it was just that incredible stat of, if you look at the average person's social media consumption over the course of an entire year, you're consuming on average 3 months of social media content. You're literally on your phone through Instagram or TikTok and just swiping through content. And that was like, I mean, I knew it was a lot, but to hear it put into terms of relative to how many months in a year, it was just absolutely incredible. And it's a little scary to think about, that people spend, a quarter of a year just on social media. And it's not like it's productive social media. It's literally just looking at various content. Um, and that's just, it was kind of an incredible stat to witness.
That kind of made me nervous because I find myself getting caught up a lot, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
in because I mean, I get on there to check on my posts or whatever, and then, we try and support our group as well, and then it's just so easy to go down that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna have to put some of those screen limitations on myself. I've thought about it before, but I think that I'm gonna have to probably start limiting. Yeah, because I mean that makes sense. I mean, if your productivity's dropped off at all, there's a good place to look.
And it's interesting because he was also saying, like, as you're looking at social media, like, and you're flipping through these things, it doesn't make you a better person. It kind of actually makes you a worse person because, as you're looking through these things and you're swiping, like, what are you doing? You're making a judgment. You're forming an opinion very quickly. And sometimes it may not be the right thing, but you're saying it turns us into very judgmental people over time as we continue to go through the social media. And I mean, I certainly would agree with that sentiment. And I think the last thing, and I think this was actually also like a key takeaway for me, was, I mean, he had multiple points, but one of his other points was, really honor the struggle, right? And I think that was kind of that hit home with me, because it was like, don't be surprised when life gets difficult, because I think, life is going to be difficult. I think sometimes we don't want to think about it that way, but like, we're all going to face different situations in life, and challenging times are going to come. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And the more important thing though is that, like, when it comes, it's it's not about being surprised that it's coming, but it's about how do I respond to it, how do I show up when it does happen. And I thought that was that was definitely something that was very impactful for me as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'd heard that name before, and he's not someone that I had really, you know, checked in on, you know. And there's just so many great speakers and authors out there nowadays. It's easy. I like to be a sponge and absorb as much as I can, but it's easy to miss because there's so many, you know. But
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, obviously the company leveled up on that as well. Although I can't complain about Ed Milet in Orlando.
Yeah.
Ed
Yep.
Milet's one of my favorites. Ed in there, so wasn't necessarily that this was a level up, but I'm just saying for eXpCon it wasn't a level up.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I think if we can get the breakout sessions and some of the other speakers, up to par, um, I think that it would make an even better event.
My goal on the breakout sessions, I mean, you and I attended the EXP Latino breakout session with that
With Vane,
Zach Vinay was, on the panel for, and that was awesome. I love the energy. Couldn't understand a freaking word that they were saying, but the energy and the passion was there, and I mean, that was conveyed without a doubt. But I
oh yeah,
was, I would love one of these years for breakout session. Freaking I would love to see the Mandarin speaking agents up there now. So, got to make that happen.
you could get that going.
Yeah. So that's going to be my goal. Let's get a Mandarin group going at EXP too. I think
I
that
would
would be
reach out
awesome.
to Garrick Yan.
Yeah.
You should reach out to him. He's
Yeah.
very involved. He's
Yeah.
going to be leading our next EXP rally,
Oh,
and
sweet. Okay.
he's a member of our area as well.
Hmm.
So he'd be a good person to talk to.
Yeah, he would be.
He's at all the events.
Well, very cool. I think. Well, we didn't even talk about the fun side of it, but there's something going on every day. Hope you enjoyed the dinner that
Oh my
we had
gosh,
in
I was actually
Vegas.
gonna. You know what? I wanted to bring that up. You took us to Black Sheep, and it's crazy. The chef. We even got a photo. Talk about that because that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so I was stoked because for those that know me or have listened to the podcast, I love reality cooking shows. That might be the one thing I will watch. I will watch anything from Hell's Kitchen to Master Chef to my favorite is still Top Chef, which is cooking competition with like professional chefs. And I always every season I always have a few favorites. And so there's a chef in Vegas. Her name is Chef Jamie Tran, and she was on season 18 of Top Chef. And I just loved her because she was and we saw this in person, which was hilarious. Like she's a little bit like amazingly talented chef, great palate, a little awkward, not the most like people person, but like just
It was
absolutely
funny though. I thought
she was
she's a
funny.
people person.
No, she was. I feel like when she first came up, the impression I got from her was she's like, "What? I don't want to be doing this. Like, what do you guys want?" And then she kind of opened up a little bit, like when we were taking photos and stuff. That was my impression. But it was kind of cool because 3 years ago, my first eXpCon was when that Top Chef season 18 had just wrapped up, and so Anna and I like went to Chef Jamie's restaurant in Vegas. It's off strip. It's called the Black Sheep, and we wanted to try her food, and we're hoping to see her in the kitchen. But she, coming off a reality show, she was busy doing like pop up events and all that stuff.
Uh huh.
So I was super excited and like geeked out a little bit that this year, like when we walked in, she was working in the kitchen. And so after dinner, like I bravely asked if we could take a photo with her, and I'm glad that she came over and did that with us. That was definitely a highlight of the trip. And I'm glad that, you and our podcast editor, Austin, got a chance to experience her like amazing food and drinks. It's so funny that like Austin living in Vegas, like he didn't really know about it. So
Uh-huh.
that was kind of cool that I was able to, introduce to a Vegas native, like a nice little go-to restaurant spot.
It was funny because in the pictures, he's always so tall in all the pictures.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
how you used to be the towering guy? Now he's so tall. I
I
think
know.
I
I
think
can't.
maybe
Yeah.
the beard might give him a couple extra inches.
No, he definitely wins in the height contest. I can't compete with that. But I'm just I am very happy and glad that more and more people now realize I'm not actually that short like I appear on Zoom.
Dude, it's so funny because Natasha came up to me. She never met me in person. She's like, "Oh my god, I thought you were so much shorter." And I was like,
I
"Here we
know
go
when you
again."
said that, I was like, that was hilarious. I mean, I'm used to hearing that from me, but the fact that I got to hear it about you, that kind of made my day, I gotta say.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, "Yeah, Michael's gonna appreciate this."
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. Now, if you're watching on YouTube or streaming this on your podcast platform, if you could do us a favor, leave a comment down below and let us know where you're listening or watching the show from today. It greatly helps with the algorithm and helps us get reach out to more people who need or want to hear what we have to say. We greatly appreciate it. And now back to the show. Well, and then we came back from the conference, and we had a chance to attend a beatdown of a football game on Sunday. You are repping the winning team on your head right now.
Oh, dude, so many Cowboy fans are crying, but I love that some of the Cowboy fans that I communicated with were at least like respectfully like, yeah, I still love the Cowboys, but then there's like the haters like talking trash. Like it's funny because karma, right? Remember the horrible fans behind us?
Yeah.
Like we're in the home section. I will never sell my seats to an opponent's team. That like you're such a traitor for doing that, and that's kind of unfair to your like your season ticket holder like neighbors. But that lady got it served cold, baby. And it was funny too because before she took off, her shirt was all covered in ketchup and stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, karma. I don't even know how she did that, but she looked like a little kid. But she was so rude. It's funny. Remember how she? Well, okay, I'm not gonna say on air what she said, but remember how me and the big guy next to you both looked back at her, and then her husband's like, "Honey, can you stop?" He's just like he's thinking, "Oh my god, these are two pretty big Niner fans. I probably don't want to mess with these guys." But then I was hoping I was gonna have to hear those horrible shrieks the whole game. But you know what I always tell people instead of getting involved in talking trash, I always say scoreboard actions, baby.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just they got freaking spanked. They were getting spanked by our freaking backups in the fourth
Uh-huh.
quarter.
I mean,
Like, I mean,
there was nothing more satisfying than seeing that lady, and like she was gone by the third quarter because the game was
yeah,
over by then.
yeah.
And then like showing the score on like my Instagram story, it was like 42-10. And it's just like, I mean, there's nothing else to say at that point.
We could have dropped 70 on them. I
Oh
would
yeah,
have
totally.
loved to tie Miami. We could have dropped. I mean, I love though that we're trying to prevent injuries and be smart. But I would have loved to drop 70 on the Cowboys. Like I'm not. It's like I don't hate teams. Like like Raider fans and Cowboy fans are a bunch of haters, right?
Yep.
And it's like I don't. I don't hate teams. Like I'm not like that. Do I judge certain teams' fans? Sure. Oh, you're a Raider fan? Like, I mean, it's like we can be judgmental of fans, but what I don't like is when it's like when they hate on your team. I think that's just stupid. But I think like just because I love sports, I love football. I'm pretty supportive of all teams in general. Like there's other players I've been a real big fan of. Like I was a big fan of Tom Brady. Like I like to win. I like to dominate. I mean, that guy was a winner, man.
Let's throw it out there right now. Brock Purdy, top 5 quarterback in the league right now.
Oh, totally, dude. I mean, and okay, seriously, the best last pick in the draft in NFL history.
Oh yeah,
He's
without a
already
doubt.
broken. He's already broken so many records, and look how young he is. He's a dynasty quarterback.
Yeah.
I guarantee this guy next year gets a huge contract. They're not letting this guy go anywhere.
No, and I hope he doesn't next year. I think he will eventually, but for our salary cap purposes, I hope he doesn't. I think he still has like he
He has
still
another
might
year
have a
still
couple years. Yeah, so
on his rookie
I
contract.
think I mean next year is going to be for sure. It's going to be Ayuk. Ayuk is like probably I think he's top 3 wide receiver in the league right now. The guy just can't
Ayuk
be
has
stopped.
really emerged in the
Yeah,
last,
yeah.
year or so, and I no, I love. I mean, all those guys, their passion, like I get fired up. It's like
Oh
put
yeah.
me in, coach.
I know you're saying that the other day. I put you
Put
on the
me in,
defensive
coach.
line.
I was wearing my Kittle jersey. I'm like, just give me his pads.
Yeah, it's
Hey, I'm about as big as they are. I'm not as
yeah.
tall as some of them, but I'm 5'11", 265. I mean, I'm probably right in the mix there.
You could probably take out some of those Cowboys.
Oh heck yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, Cowboys. Ha! Did you see a couple of those guys get hammered?
yeah. Well,
You see a couple of those? They look like rag dolls.
the next home game is going to be in like 3 weeks against Cincinnati. I mean, we're going to be 7-0 going into that. Like who knows? Deshaun Watson may not play this week, and we're playing the Browns. And then Jefferson from Minnesota is like he's on IR. I think they put him on IR this morning.
Yeah,
So we're going to be
he's on my
seven and
fantasy
zero.
football team.
Yeah,
Minimum 4 weeks out.
yeah. And the fact that we freaking have Randy Gregory coming in too to pass rush, it's like I don't know who can beat us right now. If we play a good game, I don't know who can beat us.
Well, we can beat ourselves. Remember how Brock was off a couple weeks ago? Remember how
Well,
off he was
that's the only way somebody is going to beat
against
us.
the
And I think
Giants? We
even
still
then,
pulled it
I think
off.
yeah, I think even then, the only team that might be able to do that if we don't play on our, like up to our standard is maybe Philly.
Philly.
I know.
That's the
Well,
new, that's the new bad word. Eagles fans are nasty. Talking about judging fans, Eagle fans are nasty.
Well, Philadelphia fans, they'll they'll boot. Weren't they the fan base that booed Santa Claus?
Well, they were just nasty at the championship last year. Like they were just so out of so out of line. Just it was awful, toxic. So I'd love to like have home field and have those idiots come over here.
That'd be great. I mean, hopefully, like I'm looking forward to that game on in the first part of December.
They're gonna get knocked off. They've gotten lucky. They have not looked good.
No, they haven't.
Sloppily is probably a polite word. They've sloppily won most of their games. No, I'm not being a hater. I'm just calling it as it is.
No, and I don't think honestly, I don't think they've played anybody like tough. I don't think they've played anybody tough yet, have they?
Not really.
I mean, they're.
I'd have to look. I'd have to look to remember, but yeah, not.
I mean, I would love. I think they play the Dolphins before they play us. I would love to see McDaniels and the Dolphins put up like a 50 burger on them.
I could see that
Yeah,
happening,
yeah.
dude. Miami's offense, they're so fast.
I know they're just
They are
ridiculous.
so fast.
Yeah,
We I think we're gonna put enough pressure on their QB that they're gonna have to be doing some quick releases, and I think they're gonna have a hard time, operating at that level. We also have a really good run defense,
yeah.
and also a Shane or a Sean or whatever his name is. He hurt his knee,
He
so
did. He's week to week, so I
yeah,
mean,
we'll see what
he's a
happens.
beast. He's a
He
heck
is
of a
a
runner.
beast.
So
I'm bummed I didn't grab him from waiver wire,
I know
dude.
me
I
too.
told you the week before he went off. That
Yeah,
week, it was that weekend that I had to pick him or a receiver. I forget what receiver I grabbed. Instant regret, dude. When that happened, he could have been on my team.
I know.
That would have been a difference maker. There's so much luck involved in fantasy football.
No, it totally is. Like I lucked out. I was talking to somebody today over lunch about I lucked out because I lost my week one matchup, and so that gave me a really good waiver wire position. And so like the second week, I picked up like Kieran Williams from the Rams. I was gonna pick up. I should have picked up Puka for the Rams too. Like those two have been doing
Dude, I missed
really
that
well.
opportunity too. Don't even get me
Yeah.
going on that.
But no, I'm 4-1 into my league going into this week, so I'm pretty happy about that. Thank goodness for Christian McCaffrey. That's all I'm going to say.
49er fan, so I can agree with that.
All right, man. Well, we have a short episode this week. Just wanted to quickly catch up because I know there's been a lot going on with eXpCon and the Niners game. Is there anything else like you wanted to touch base on before we kind of call it a day for tonight?
As much as there's all these great things happening and we're doing well, just it's the last year has been a year to really go through the ups and downs and people you meet, people you come across, and there's just a lot of shitty people that take advantage of people, and it just like lately it just like pisses me off. I mean, I question. I don't know. People always talk about things happening because you have more lessons to learn or whatever, but holy shit, talking about eye openers, it's interesting. You Some of these tougher experiences actually get you to step out. Like you get so caught up in the norm and people become fixtures in your organization and your atmosphere, and it's just like you never really sit there and analyze those, right? You kind of just analyze like new things and different things that are coming your way. But most of the time, you're not looking at what's around you,
Yep.
you're looking outward.
Yep.
Well, there's been a lot of looking around the last 4 or 5 months. And I'm like, son of a bitch, dude. Like just cutting people off left and right. But the other thing too, and I was talking to, this guy about this at eXpCon, one of our colleagues is your circle, who you surround yourself with and elevating your circle and talking about just like even people that you grew up with that maybe you've outgrown certain people. It's like, how do I say this? So we were talking about how it's not like, hey, I'm better than you or hey this or hey that. It's just more like that energy. Like for instance, like I know this is gonna sound immature, but there's some people that annoy me on social media and I just disconnect. Like I don't hate them and I don't want to be like, oh, let me drop you all snooze or whatever. But it's just like I get tired of hearing that negative, like just some people are just annoying. Everything's always the world's falling apart, this, that's like sick of it, or just stupid shit that people put out there. People get way too political or whatever. But anyway, I guess what I'm circling back to is that it's okay to choose who you want to surround yourself with. You don't have to necessarily send other people away or make them feel like shit or whatever. Just stop reaching out. Stop being engaged.
Yeah.
And you
I
know
mean,
what the
I
sad thing is? The sad thing is that a lot of times they don't even reach out. You know, it's like you make this effort, and it's like then when you realize that's not really someone I want to surround myself with, and all of a sudden you don't reach out and they don't reach out, it's like, oh,
Well, and that's
action.
telling, right? That tells a lot, right?
Totally,
And
totally,
it is. I think all relationships, right? Like all friendships, like to your point, like they're not static. They're always dynamic, right? They're always changing because we as people are changing. We better be changing. Like whether it's relationships or friendships. Like I'm a firm believer that even like in relationships, and this is a topic for another day, but I'll just say this quickly. Like in a relationship, like both people need to be growing because otherwise one person's going to outgrow the other. And I think it's the same thing for friendships or same thing with like business relationships.
right.
And like how like I come from a corporate world, but like, we always do like year end reviews. I had mine today. But honestly, if it was up to me, I would want to do a review like in a reflection every quarter because a year to me is too long. A time to go before you like take the time to reflect back to kind of what you're saying, right? Like sometimes you're focused so much on the exterior, you're not focused on the interior and how your business is running. Sometimes you get
Right.
used to the people that you have on your team, and that's actually a really dangerous thing.
It
Um,
is.
and you go,
And
you
you also want
constantly
to
have
be
to
nice. You
reevaluate.
don't want to rock the boat. You
Exactly. You
like,
don't want to upset people because they've been with you. But, at the end of the day, it's like you owe it to yourself and your business to evaluate these things constantly.
so over it. And
Yeah.
it's yeah. So I'm not going on a rant, but I'm just saying like, don't ask me what else is on my mind because honestly, it's you know, it, it's hard to. And this is another subject for another day, but it's like we've talked about it somewhat in the past. Like you put your filter on other people. Like I would never take advantage. I would never be an asshole like that. I would never, but dude, there's some just shitty people around right now that I'm like so anxious to just completely remove
Yep.
and get away from. Like I'm super excited about, spending more time and connecting more with the people that are good that I love being around. So it's like I guess I'm going through another midlife purging for lack of a better term, but I think it's you know purge often. I think that you need to be more conscious of who's around you, who's in your circle, and don't listen so much to the words but watch the actions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's key. Like people can say all sorts of things, and then you just have to wait and see like do they deliver. I mean,
I'm just saying like actions definitely speak volumes over words, and yeah, I mean, like sometimes I joke around and I tell you I'm like a cockroach. They can't kill me. Yeah, watch out for Shane 5.0 next year because we're gonna be savage. We're gonna hit new levels that we've never hit, and pretty fired up about what's to come. It's like cancer couldn't do it. This shit's not gonna do it. And yeah, let's see. Let's stay tuned. Stay tuned for 2024. That's right around the corner.
absolutely love it. We're gonna end on that note because that's awesome.
2024 is also 49, and 49er
Uh huh.
fan.
Uh huh.
So I smell Super Bowl. I smell a Super Bowl win in February.
Oh, it's
I don't know if
happening.
that's even connected. I probably sound like the dad from my big fat Greek wedding.
It's happening. 2024 is going to be a great year, and we're building the foundation for that right now. And you should be too with your business.
So birthday in January, Super Bowl win in February, and by March we're gonna be slaying our goals. I'm fired up.
And we're starting now, and you should be too on your business. So that's a mic drop. We're going to end it here. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Top Producing Zone podcast. We may or may not try to get you a bonus episode of Shane at the punching bag. Stay tuned for that. And we'll catch you on next week's episode. Take care, guys.